This is Dolores Williams at DWS View. Stand up. If we do not stand up for what we believe, who will? Welcome. I want to welcome you to this interview today. And I also want to welcome our special guest today. His name is Mr. Eddie Block. Eddie is a patriot. Eddie is a man who loves this country and a man who stands up for this country. And I'm just privileged that he's joining us today. Good morning, Eddie. How are you today?
Good morning, Dolores. I'm doing well.
Oh,
A little early for me, but I'm doing very well.
Amen. Amen. Well, we're glad you got up so we can share this interview and share your story today. Now, I know that we're going to start out talking about our governor, Governor Newsom, and the close up of our country since the COVID pandemic. And we know that our state of California has been shut down, still has not completely opened up. And that's one of the things that we want to lead out today and talk about. And I want to get your views on that. I think that we've been shut down too long. Actually, I think the country should never have shut down as it did. And we're paying a price for it economically. And not just economically, but we see all the chaos that's going on in our country right now. So let's go ahead and have you share a little bit right now about Governor Newsom and the closure of this state.
Yeah, well, Governor Newsom's doing this, to better himself, not to better us as a state. If he can't make $1 off of something, then he's not doing it. And, everybody thinks right now, oh, Governor Newsom cares about us. He's doing this for us. No, he doesn't. Like those $1 billion masks that he bought, I bet you, I'd put my life on it that he owns 10, 15% of that stock in that company that he bought those masks from. The governor is not interested in our state. Like his aunt, Nancy Pelosi. I don't know how many of your listeners know, but that's his aunt. He's also related to Dianne Feinstein. Now, when this high-speed rail started up, one of the things Ben and I have learned, I don't know if you know Ben Berkheim is, he's who I film. And we figured out that right before the high-speed rail kicked off, Newsom and all of his family started getting grants to buy public property from the federal government for free or for $1 at the most. And what they did with this property is they bought it up all over the state, and then they sold it back to the state of California for the high-speed rail because they bought all the properties that somehow were in the line of the high-speed rail. Kind of funny how that works. You know what I mean?
Amen. Well, we know that high-speed rail is to nowhere. It's cost the state of California a lot of money. The citizens are paying a lot of money for a train that's going to nowhere.
Yeah. That's I'm just kind of setting the ground point about Gavin Newsom. I mean, this guy, he doesn't care about you or I. He cares about that mighty pocket that's his and his own and his family. Have you ever seen where he lives? I've gone to the last 5 protests up in Sacramento. You're from San Diego. You probably know the Freedom Angels. Have you heard of the Freedom Angels before?
No, I'm not familiar with them.
On the 20th, on May Day, and 5 times in the last month and a half, they've held a protest at the state capitol.
I saw the protest.
So the CHP actually pushed us off the steps of the state capitol. They ripped 3 young mothers out of my arms, throwing them on the ground, exposing their private parts because they're ladies. They wear dresses, and all because they're protesting Gavin Newsom. Now, a couple weeks later, we have a Black Lives Matter protest, which I have no problem with them doing, but yet the police don't kick them off of the property. If you go against Gavin, Gavin goes against you and does everything he can. I made a video about this the other day, just showing how peacefully we were protesting out there. And there was people from all different generations, from all different creeds, religions. We had Democrats out there on our side. And I'm kind of glad what Gavin Newsom's doing. He's hurting the businesses, and I'm sad for that. And he's hurting our economy. But I think it's helping our situation because even the Democrats are getting mad at him now.
Well, this is America, Eddie. I don't mean to cut you off, but this is America. This is United States, and we are proud of this country, and we should be standing together. I mean, all the divisions that we see in our country are not healthy for anyone. They don't help anyone. And because of being founded on God, God loves every one of us. And that is what we have to focus on. He's not for us being divided against each other. He is for us being one. Yes, we're going to have disagreements, but that doesn't mean we have to hate each other, and we should not be hating each other and doing things to hurt each other. No, that should not be. That's not the American way. I
No,
mean,
not at
yes.
all. And what's fun, I must be doing something right because Gavin Newsom knows me by name. The other day,
Okay.
I flew my drone over his house, and I have a license, and I know the rules. As long as I'm under 400 feet, I can fly wherever I want, and it's not a no-fly zone. So I flew
Okay.
over. I'm flying over his house where his grass is green as can be, and his tennis courts are nice and pretty, and as soon as I land my drone, this black Dodge Charger comes rolling up on me, and they're like, "Hey, Eddie," and I'm like, "Yeah, can I help you?" They're like, "You're not supposed to be flying your drone over people's houses." And I said, "Excuse me, I can fly my drone wherever I want." He's like, "No, you can't. You need to stop flying over Newsom's house." And what's funny is Eddie's my middle name. My first name is Hendrick. So if this officer had looked up my name by my truck or, something like that, he would have came and said, "Hey, Hendrick, can I talk to you?" But no, they came to me as Eddie. And that, I must be doing something right if the dang governor of our state is coming after me like that. But yeah, this guy, everything he does is politically inclined to separate us, like you're saying. And we need to stop that. Like you said, we're the
Yes.
United States of America.
Yeah, well, it starts with us. We can't control the governor and we can't control anyone. Only one we can control is us and how we handle the situation. And we want to be role models and teach people how to get rid of the hate. And sometimes, I have things said to me, but I choose not to respond in kind. I try to respond with the word of God because he is the one that will diffuse any situation, and that's who we have to trust. Now, let's go ahead and move on and talk about what's happening in Minnesota and Seattle and all these riots. Now, I think every one of us can agree that George Floyd should be alive today.
Yes,
He
he
should
should.
be alive. And what happened to him was horrendous. It should never have happened, not just here in America, but it should never have happened anywhere. But his death has been exploited and taken advantage of. And I feel for his family, not just his family. I feel for all these families, all these people that have been murdered, who've been killed because of these riots, and our police officers who've been demonized because of the acts of one person. Every police officer in this country has been put on alert, and we even had two officers attacked and killed this week. Not to mention three police officers that I know of who were killed, and black police officers. A beautiful young lady, young mother, was murdered. Two black men were murdered, but there was no attention drawn to them, and not that their family sought attention, but it's just a situation with Mr. Floyd has been exploited, and it's been used to see what we see now in Seattle, because all these plans were already underway, underfoot, pre-planned. All these riots coordinated throughout our nation. So go ahead, Eddie. Let's hear your view on that.
Yeah, it's terrible. And I reiterate the same thing that you're saying. No, he should not have been killed like that. The officer, somebody should have stopped it. Somebody should have seen what was going on. And that's not right. But at the same time, those were what, 4 officers out of how many officers are in Minneapolis? You know, they say certain people, well, you judge these people because of the bad people in their group. Well, there's 1 to 2% of every group is bad people. You can't take it out on all the police officers. I have a friend who's an officer in here in Fresno, and on Sunday we're going to go serve the homeless food and meals, which we do once a month. We had to stop it because of COVID-19, but we're back doing it. And
Amen.
he wants to quit his job because he's sick and tired of the way he's treated as an officer.
Oh man.
He wants to find a new profession, and it's sad. And the problem is protesting. I'm right there with you. You should have not died. I would have stood right next to you and waved my flag or waved, uh, you know, I don't know what I would have waived, whatever, to help the situation. But
Yeah.
going and breaking into people's businesses, killing
Yes.
people, beating people up just because of the color of their skin or their ethnicity, it's not right. That's not helping the situation. Even his brother came out and said, "You're not doing my brother right. We're not here to fight and to riot and loot. We're here to promote equality." And it's sad that what these people are doing. Now,
Yeah.
the reason why I mentioned Seattle, I don't know if you heard, the same police officer friend sent me a link. The Eastern Division of Seattle was asked by Antifa to leave, so that way they could
Yes.
peacefully protest. So they did, and now Antifa has taken over a police state. They're
Yeah.
against a police state, but they've made their own police state. If you want to go anywhere in the Eastern District, they have checkpoints, and you need to get permission to pass. You have to pay a fine to pass. If you don't want your business destroyed, you have to pay Antifa money.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
We want to get rid
totally
of it.
not acceptable.
Yeah,
And
they want
that
to
is,
get rid of it, but yet they're doing it themselves.
oh, I know, it's totally not acceptable. I feel like we're living in communist China or a communist country because our country is not. That's why we've had all these wars. We started out fighting for people to have the freedom to do what they want to do and not to do what they're doing in Seattle. This was a hostile takeover, and the governor and the mayor, the people who leave the state allowed it to happen. They allowed a police station to be packed up and just told their police officers to walk away. And what does that say about the leadership of that city
Yeah.
for them to do that?
Yeah. The whole entire city council of Minneapolis said we will vote to demolish our police department system. What are you gonna do when somebody comes and attacks you? Then now, who are you gonna call? Are you gonna call Antifa?
Well, I don't think you can call Antifa. You'd probably have to pay them if they showed up. But they actually wouldn't show up because these people have guns. Now, we hear people railing against guns and against our rights to carry guns. Thank God we have that right. And I hope and pray that every American know that they have the right. Now, we don't want to go vigilantes out there killing people, no. But you have a right to protect your property and to protect your home. And so those are rights that the people of Cuba and all these communist countries wish that they had because they don't have that right. But in America, we have that right, not to abuse it, but to use it legitimately.
And that's what, one of my main weapon of choice at my house, at my front door, I have a shotgun. I was looking at guns about 10 years ago, and the lady behind the clerk, she's like, "What are you looking for?" And I said, "Well, I'm looking to protect my house, my wife." And I'm looking down at the guns, and all of a sudden I hear, and she's like, "That's what you want." And I jumped about 10 feet in the air. And she said, "That's exactly why you buy a shotgun. The noise stops the person in their tracks. You don't have to shoot anybody. You don't even, all you got to do is make that sound, and all of a sudden their hands are up like this. And yeah, I do have a gun too, in case it needs to go farther. But and I'll tell you, my shotgun's empty because I don't need to have it filled. The bullets are close by if I need to, but I'm not here to shoot somebody. I'm just here to make sure that they don't come in my house. And my 150-pound Saint Bernard that's below me will also make sure that.
That's a deterrent right there.
Oh, yeah. There was a robbery next door, and I rescue dogs, and I like the bigger dogs. So I have a German Shepherd, Rottweiler in the back, a Pit Bull, all these mean dogs that all they do is they lick you to death. But there's a robbery next door, and the police are looking for the suspect, and they looked over my wall. I said, "You need to check my backyard." And nope, nobody's stupid enough to go in your house. We already know about it.
That's
the
great.
police state is awful what they're doing.
Oh, yeah, it is. And it's totally unacceptable.
There's a show called Live PD. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's on Friday nights where they follow these officers around, and it's all live. I mean, not all of it's live, of course. It's on a delay. But these officers are doing good things. They canceled the show because they don't want their viewers to be upset that they're showing police officers in a light.
Yeah. Very sad. Yeah, I heard about that. I've never watched that show, but I heard not only that, but a lot of shows that anything that shows police in a positive way are being canceled. And I tell you, I don't like the direction that our country is headed right now. I don't. I just don't like the direction we're going. And yeah, we're
And yet
freedom
the
loving.
biggest problem is nobody educates themselves. They watch TV, they watch the
Yeah,
news.
exactly.
Um, like, I'm going through a divorce right now, but my wife, when we were together, she brought up, well, President Trump said this, and I said, okay, show me what website it was on. And she brought up the website, and it's some website I've never heard of. I said, okay, find another website with the exact same thing, but you like CNN? I said, fine, find it on CNN. She couldn't find it anywhere. She just
Yeah,
started automatically, and this is my wife, who knows that I research this stuff all day long, just started
yeah,
shot calling on some website that was a fake website.
yeah. Well, we know our president is attacked every day, and it is sad because all that does is water down our own country. It's like our own people. We do the work for China, and we do the work for those who want to harm us as Americans and as a country, and those who hate the freedoms that we have. And I think what I would say to any American is be thankful that you live here in this country. Be thankful for the freedoms that you have. Don't take them for granted. Don't ever take them for granted. If you look at Seattle, just like that, our freedoms can be taken from us. And so we don't take it lightly.
And, my father died from his exposure to Agent Orange. He was only 41. He served 21 years in the Air Force. And I'm disabled. If your viewers don't know, I'm disabled. You see me, I ride around on my mobility scooter
Yes.
and do all this stuff. And so I ask people to stand up for your rights because my dad died because of your rights. So just stand up
Amen.
for my dad's honor. And my stepdad, he's he's 85, and I take care of him now because my mom passed away of cancer, and so we video chat like this every single day. And he's telling me, he told me the other day, he said, you know why people go to war with us? And I'm like, well, yeah, they find things wrong with with us. He's like, no. He's like, look at every country we've ever gone to war with, and look at how much better they're doing and how much they're prospering.
Yes.
They go to
Yes.
war with us because they know they're gonna lose. We're gonna come over and make their lives better.
You're exactly right. Exactly
That's,
right. Because,
that's what they
America, we hear it all the time. America has a lot of power. But when Americans go to war, Americans go back in and clean up the mess that was made. They go back in and try to make that society better. And that's what I appreciate about this country. And too many people just have been brainwashed into thinking this is a bad place. No, you know, Eddie, if America goes down, where will the world go? Everybody's trying to get here to the United States. They're trying to come here. So if this country goes down, then where will people go? They can't go to Cuba. They can't go to Venezuela, and they certainly can't go to China.
no,
Not if they want freedom.
no.
If you love freedom, people are trying to come here because of what we have, and too many of us are not appreciating it.
Yeah. I have a
And
friend. She's very liberal. She's a journalist, and we're Facebook friends. And I always we banter back and forth all the time. And then she started pushing this issue, and I said, you know what? I said, fine. You hate our country. Where are you gonna go next? Who's gonna treat you the way we do if you tear us down? Because you're gonna turn us into a third world country with your ideas. When we become
yes,
that third world country and everybody's broke, where are you gonna go next? They're not gonna let you come in.
yeah. Well, there's really, I don't know where you could go. And,
Yeah.
and I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay here because I love this country.
So
I love this
I
country.
don't leave California, and people say it's too expensive and it's too one-way thinking. I said, yeah, that's why I'm inviting all my Republican friends to move to California, make California better again. You know,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. For those of us here, we have to stand up and fight for the
where
things
can you
that we
go to the
believe.
beach in the morning and in the afternoon go skiing, or
Oh,
or up in
I
the
know.
mountains?
I
No,
know.
we have the most beautiful state, and I feel it's the most beautiful state around, and
Yeah, it is
everybody's
beautiful.
leaving it because of how we're treated.
I know. And that's sad. It's so sad. And, it's an easy fix. We have a constitution. Just follow it.
Yeah.
We have a constitution, and that is a privilege. Now let's go ahead and talk about democratic politics. Now, we could talk all day about that
Yeah.
and what they're really doing, and with the money making and all the underground stuff that goes on. Let's go ahead and discuss that subject.
All right. Well, I guess I kind of got ahead of myself earlier. But, I mean, look back to the high-speed rail. I mean, all they did was buy all this stuff,
Yes.
buy all this land. You know, hey, Auntie, next year we're gonna build a train over here, and we're gonna pay top dollar for this land. Buy it for $1 right now. You know, and then not only that, right after they do that, then the Nancy Pelosi's husband gets $1 million or $1 billion contract to build the high-speed rail.
Yeah.
Now, how is that fair? Your husband should not be able to get a contract building for the high-speed rail if you're in politics. I just think that's too close to home. President Trump can't run his businesses.
And he wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because he's a man of integrity. He completely moved himself from that just so he wouldn't be accused. Of course, he'll be accused anyway. But
I got to say something about him real quick and his integrity. Now, I went and filmed the Trump rally in Las Vegas, and we stayed at the Trump Tower. And we were waiting around, hoping maybe we get to see him or something. And I asked the cleaning lady, I'm like, have you ever met Mr. Trump before, President Trump? And she's like, oh, yeah, all the time. But now not anymore because his Secret Service keeps him locked up. And I said, well, how's it like to work for him? She said every time he saw me, he would say, how's it going? Is there anything I can do to make your job better? You know, but yet this is some mean, a ruthless man. But no, he knows if your employees are happy, then you're going to have a good running company. And he's trying to make the United States happy so we can have a better running United States.
Yes, and when our president says "Make America Great Again," that's not a racist thing. He's sincere. He really is sincere, and I know probably get some eggs thrown at the screen for saying that. But our president is a patriot. We are blessed to have him as a patriot. We are blessed to have someone who loves this country, who stands up for this country.
Yes.
That is a tremendous blessing to have a president and he's not prejudiced. He don't care what color your skin is. He's done more for blacks. He's done more for black folks than any other president in recent history. He has done a lot. I saw this beautiful interview with Alice Johnson, who was in prison, one offense, a minor offense, 20 years in prison. And I saw she had such a beautiful interview with the president, and they have developed a wonderful relationship. And from that, and from all the opportunity zones and all the things that President Trump is trying to do, has done for black folks, those who appreciate it and who know, he's not a man who's trying to divide. And I don't know any other president who donates their whole salary, doesn't even take a salary, who donates his salary to different groups in this country to make this country a better place to live for all of us.
Speaking about salary, now how can you be a person who makes $158,000 a year, being a congressman or woman, and yet you're a multimillionaire?
Oh,
how does that add up?
I don't know. But there's plenty of them in there. They go in there with a little pot and they come out with a mansion. I don't know how that happens, but yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, but and I mean, there are a lot of perks that were not intended for Congress, and we see our Congress people even today. They're not even at work, but they're getting a pay. They're getting a paycheck, but they're at home. They're not doing their jobs, which is to represent this country. And
like
to represent.
When we had the shutdown, what were they? They were trying to fly to Geneva on a government plane, right? And that was the most amazing thing I think President Trump ever did. I laughed for hours. He sat there and waited for them to get on that bus, and then he made a phone call. Hey, the government shut down. That bus driver's a government employee. The plane's a government employee. You can't fly to Geneva. He didn't do it. He could have done it weeks beforehand. He waited till they were on that bus and ready to go.
Yeah, well, that's because of the attacks on him and the nastiness that happens on a regular basis. Yeah. But
and
anyway,
none of these other people are getting attacked. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, all these people have all this money, and they say millionaires are the bad people. Millionaires are the worst. but yet they make more money than any of the people around us. You know, they're talking
Yes.
about themselves.
Yes, that's true.
That,
That is so true. That is so true. Well, they don't know how blessed they are.
no, they don't.
They don't know how blessed they are to live in this country and to be blessed with all the privileges, all the things that they've been given. I wonder, do they thank God? Do they thank God for blessing them to live in this country where they can do the things that they do and accomplish all their dreams and more? And they should be the most patriotic people in the whole world for all the blessings that God has given them.
I don't think they. I don't think they do talk to God. I've never seen them in church once. You know,
Yeah,
only for a photo op here and there.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
But
Photo op.
they do need
But
God in their life. You know.
oh yeah, you know what? I think, Eddie, so much of what is going wrong in this country is because we have kicked God out. There is no reverence for God. Education of our children is just deteriorated to nothing where our children are indoctrinated. College campuses have, I mean, professors cannot express themselves on a college campus. They're losing their jobs, being fired for having a different opinion or for standing up for what's right. They can't do that. You can't dare have a different opinion today. You are demonized. And I tell you, it's scary stuff. Not that we fear because we trust God, but it's scary for the American people what we see. Well, we know where it's leading ultimately, the end times. But still, we are living in times where things are just eroding. And it's sad to see the erosion, but yet we know the Bible talks about it. And
No,
we know these times will come.
I just graduated from Fresno State back in December, and we
Yes.
were starting up a called the Patriot Club. We were trying to do one for a Republican club. You have to get an advisor in order to be an official club on campus. We knew about 30 people who were conservative and professors, but they said they wouldn't do it because they're afraid to lose their job. How can we
Oh,
be
I
equal and have
believe
a
that.
conservative club, you know?
Mm,
And this is gonna sound stupid. I didn't know what liberal arts meant, and I'm talking to a friend, and she's I'm helping her with her math. She's disabled like me, and she has some mental disabilities, and I was teaching her math, and I finally said, I don't want to sound stupid, but what is liberal arts? I know I'm a 43-year-old man and should know this, but what is it? She's like, oh, it means I'm going to school to become a teacher. And it all clicked, liberal
oh,
arts
okay.
professors. So they're teaching them to be liberal, to teach our kids to be
Okay.
liberal. I just
Yes.
thought it was funny. That was
Yes.
comical. But I couldn't go anywhere on that camp. I had to worry for everything. I was director of the live news broadcast. And as soon as one of the professors found out I was conservative, she wouldn't work with me anymore. They didn't want me directing
Mm,
their shows. So every time I had to direct her show, I wore my MAGA hat because she had to sit right next to me and filmed it. And then I
mm-hmm.
couldn't film her because she didn't want to be in the same picture in the same location as I am.
Mm,
And this is a professor, and I'm a student, so I'm paying for them to teach
wow.
me.
Mm,
And
that's sad.
that's what's
That's
going on
very
in our world.
sad.
I
Very
want us
sad.
I want us to be like the 50s, and not the racial tensions. I'm not talking about that. But in the 1950s, you were embarrassed to be on welfare. You were embarrassed to not have a job. You
Oh
took care
yeah.
of your family. Um, Loans were not the thing that they are today. People didn't go to payday
No.
cash in place to get to the next week so they can pay for another
Oh yeah.
cash in place. We worked hard, and people don't do that anymore. People think everything's going to be given to them, and that's the problem. That's why people like Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden are coming up and being top candidates. Well, not Bernie Sanders anymore, but I went to his rally. I wore a Bernie Sanders shirt. I wasted money and felt dirty putting this on, but I wanted to get in his rally. Stood in line for 4 hours. I was the first person. As soon as the gates opened up, they said, Eddie, you're a known person. You're not allowed in the rally. I said, well, on whose authority? He said, Bernie told me to tell you can't come in his event. So we stood
Wow.
outside, and all these people were walking in. They had 2 gates to go in. And my buddy Josh says, free healthcare on the right or free college on the left. And you would see these students going, let's go to the right. Let's go get the free healthcare. They actually believed that if they went in one gate, they get free healthcare. And
Wow.
another man walks out before the show was over, and my other buddy says, wait, they haven't finished giving out all the free stuff. You got to go back in. So the guy walks back in to get more free stuff. That's the problem.
Well,
Everybody wants everything for free.
Yeah, I know. There's nothing free. Nothing free. Nothing free. Someone has to pay. There's nothing free.
I was disabled my entire life. I was a plumber. I've had 60 operations. I was never supposed to walk. I worked as a plumber because it was a good job and I made money. When I was forced to retire because I couldn't walk anymore, I went to the Social Security office and the lady said, excuse me, why didn't you get on Social Security your whole life? Your disability is one of the worst, is on the top of the list for guaranteed, fast track. I said, because I'm not lazy. And she looked at me and she's like, what did you say? I said, because I'm not a lazy piece of junk. I'm not here to be lazy. And she got mad at me. And then they wouldn't help me after that because they gave me a program that said you can go to work, but they wouldn't help me find a job. And I complained so much that they finally sent me to college to get me to leave them alone.
Oh, man. Man.
But I'm glad because I got to go to college. I met Ben. I've learned about, I was not political at all before I went to college. And I took my first poli-sci class. And it taught me what, politics are really about and what these people are doing for the country. So I got involved, and ever since I've been involved.
Hey, man. Well, thank God, Eddie. Thank God. Thank God. And I want to thank you for this time today. And I want to thank you for this interview. I'm so happy you spent this time with us. And I applaud you for your patriotism and for the fight. And, I just said that thank God for Eddie for this interview, because Eddie is a man who stands up. And I appreciate you taking a stand for what you believe, Eddie. It's truly a blessing to have patriots and people that love this country. And you are one of them. And I applaud you. I applaud you for that. And thank you. And I hope we can do it again in the future. Can interview again in the future. And I wish you the best. I pray God's blessing for you. And for all the endeavors that you involved in, I just pray his protection for you and that all your needs will be met.
Wonderful. Can I tell your viewers about my website?
Sure. Go right ahead.
So if you want to go to Eddie Block Films on YouTube, see that little logo there? I don't know if you can see it that well. There we go. That's my logo. Eddie, look for that. One of the videos you want to look up is, oh my goodness, Skid Row in LA. A month or two ago, we went to Skid Row in LA and actually spoke to the people on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Gavin Newsom said he spent $100 million to help out the homeless at Skid Row. They haven't seen a dollar.
Wow.
So you need to watch that video and just see stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff we show on that.
Oh, okay. I know. Yeah, and I know you worked on the border as well.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of border patrol things.
I'm actually working on getting, there's this, it's very expensive mobility scooter, but it goes off-road and it'll go in the water, and so I can start going more on the border.
Oh, okay.
The last time we went to the border, the beach right there by Tijuana, it's a mile long to get to the actual border where the fence is, where they're jumping over. My friend Ben had to drag my wheelchair a mile through sand to get me back there. So,
wow.
Thank God the Border Patrol saw what was going on, and they gave me a ride back instead of making me
Amen. That's America. Amen. Well, thank you, Eddie. Thank you so much. And also want to thank you, my viewers. Thank you for looking at this video, for listening to this podcast. And I want you to be sure to subscribe to my podcast. Go to dwsviewpodcast@gmail.com and contact me. And please hit that red button and subscribe to my channel. I want to see you subscribe and support this podcast. Also, share it with your friends. I want you to share this video, share these messages, and I want you to do one more thing. Come back next week, because we'll have another guest.
And another beautiful smile.
Amen. Thank you. And God bless America. Amen.